Hi, I'm Morgan Harmon, and this is my vlog 2 for my Globals Learning Project for TE 150, and this is about my first interaction I had with Sai. So I first started this interaction by talking about our similarities and differences. The first question I asked was, what was a typical day like from getting up in the morning to getting out of bed? So for me in high school started at about 7:45. I would have 6 classes, all usually lasting about an hour, and then in between I would have lunch. Typically after school, students would have sports or extracurricular activities they would go and do, and then you would go home, do homework, and go to bed. However, for Sai, he started school around the same exact time and ended at around the same exact time, but he had 10 classes per day, usually lasting about like 30 minutes or so. However, after school activities like extracurricular and sports, they were not done after school. Sports were done in the morning, and actually, extracurricular activities were part of classes. So, the next question I asked him was, what are some 3 things that make you worried in high school? I talked about how personally, like, obviously grades, but also I worried about getting onto sports teams, other activities I had to do, working, other things outside of just the studying, learning part of high school. For Sai, however, his main stressor was to actually figure out what he wanted to do with life. So, how his high school is set up is all the way up to 10th grade, you would have like your general classes, and then 10th grade, you would select what, like, major kind of what you wanted to do with your life. So, another thing he was stressed about was for his in high school, he would have one exam. That was your whole grade. There was no extra like 10% for homework, 10% for participation, 100% one exam at the end of the year. So the way the school year was set up, it was they started in June. They would go all the way up till about January, and then from January, the whole January and whole February, they would have those 2 months, no school, and those months were used to prepare for this big final exam that was in March. The final thing that was really stressful for him was so in India, how it works for applying for colleges there is most of the colleges would have their own kind of tests besides like in here in America we have the SAT and the ACT to get into schools. So the final thing I discussed during our interaction was I was comparing kind of pictures like from high school to pictures and events that he had in high school. So I first started talking about, I showed him a picture of me at a high school football game, and I was talking to him, figuring out if they had any sports or any activities like that. He told me high school was more evolved around the education section of it instead of having extra activities. Like, I know for here applying to colleges not only like to see good grades, but they like to see that you had a job, that you joined clubs, that you joined sports teams. In India, really, colleges only look at your grades, they don't look at anything else you did. So, personally, I was super shocked with how his high school was set up compared to mine, especially the fact that his grades were determined on one test. I could not imagine how much stress that would be. Oh my goodness. I also thought it was interesting how they are more focused on getting good grades, and that's all that matters, instead of like looking at other things they do, like sports, like how managing sports and managing a job. Obviously, one thing I've noticed about his culture is they are super strict on getting a good education and just getting good grades. I would like to know like more about why they believe one class grade should be based on one exam. I'm super excited though to figure out more about his culture and how education was set up in the next vlog.